In this episode, we are going to a gaming market, but this is not just any gaming market. This is the biggest gaming market in the UK.
Pick us! Building the games room! Rush trips! Live game hunting!
Hello again, folks, and welcome back to a very special live game hunting episode. And I do mean very special, as this week we are heading to not just any games market, we are heading to the biggest games market in the UK, in Doncaster. I am so excited. There are going to be so many amazing things, and guess what? I'm taking you folks along for the ride. Now, I haven't actually been to many games markets in my years of collecting, and I don't really know what to expect. All I know is it's probably going to be very, very busy. It is the UK's biggest gaming market after all. Now, what I've done is actually opted to pay £5 for early access. That means I can get in from 11 AM in the morning. The first 500 people get that first hour to grab the best bargains. I am super psyched. Let's get straight into it. But just before we hit the road to Doncaster for 3 hours on the motorway, I just want to remind you folks, if you enjoy this kind of video, please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out like this every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. Now, hit the road onto Doncaster. We had early bird tickets, but unfortunately due to traffic and the parking situation, we got there about bang on 12 o'clock when it was open to everyone. But thankfully, even though it felt super awkward, we were able to bypass the queues because we'd bought those early entry tickets. But trust me, I was not prepared for what met me when I walked into this hall. It was huge. I knew it was going to be big, as it is of course the UK's biggest gaming market, but I was absolutely blown away. This was incredibly overwhelming. This, my friends, is why you go to these games conventions. Just look at the consoles here on the very first table. I think the standout for me was without a doubt the Atari Jaguar. This is a console that I need for my collection. This year will be the year. This is what I mean when I say the games market is overwhelming. Look at these literal bookshelves full of games. Starting here, we had some really interesting PlayStation 1 games, 2 entire shelves with them just absolutely stacked. You can see they just go on and on and on. Then look at this, all of these Master System games, just big titles everywhere, Mega Drive games. Scrolling down, so many boxed Nintendo cardboard goodness. This is one stall. This is like an entire game store on just one stall, and there was hundreds of stalls at this games market, and it was just instantly, you just had to dive in. Like, look at this, a nice copy of SimCity for the SNES. These are the kind of games I'm going to be looking for today. Games I absolutely need for my collection. Games that I cannot go without. I got super excited when I saw this next game, as it was one of the very few games I missed on my 20 and 2022 collection. Unfortunately, it was the US version of this game, which was a little bit disappointing, but trust me, it may be 2023, but I will still be looking for games off my 2022 list. If you haven't watched that episode, go back and watch it. I'll link it in the description down below. You know, I'm always on the lookout for strategy guides. I have a pretty large collection already, but I'm always looking for more, especially if I can pick them up cheap. But this was one thing about the games market today. I was kind of looking for some of those bigger ticket items, the kind of things I don't see all the time. I see strategy guides fairly often, both at the car boots, in charity shops, so I was going to pass on these for today. I was very tempted, but the thing is, I was looking for a few like £30 to £50 items rather than these smaller items, but we'll see how we get on. That's the thing with these games markets. You never know what you're going to see, and you never know what's going to be on the very next stall. This was quite interesting to me, as this is a game I have in my collection. I had no idea what the value of this was, but it turns out it's around £40. Let me know if you think that's a little bit high. It's just a game I like to have in my collection. Heading on to the next store, and there was some really nice box bits, some really interesting stuff, loads of Atari games. And this game is going to be my first blood of the day. Pilotwings, boxed and complete for the SNES, in really nice condition. I had a sticker price on this of £24.99, which is really good. Yes, this is a fairly common SNES title, but the problem is you don't see them very often. I was also very tempted to pick up this copy of Star Wars. I think I came back to that 2 or 3 times, but for now, I'm picking up Pilotwings. I'm always looking to expand my Master System collection, and you can still pick up a lot of these games for a decent price. It's just finding them in good condition. This copy of Smash TV was pretty tempting. I think it's had a £10 label on it, and you know, it's a game I've never actually played, so let me know down in the comments if you played Smash TV on the Sega Master System. The thing is about the games market, there was just everything and anything. So here you can see there's a box of like PC games, PC CD-ROMs, and down here we have loads of Xbox 360 games and just stacks of Xbox 360 games. The thing is today, I'm not really looking for more of the modern stuff. I'm looking for the more obscure stuff. I think this definitely fits that bill, like these kind of Japanese N64 and SNES games. Definitely very cool, and a very cool way to play some of these games very, very cheap. And the thing is, if nothing else, I absolutely love some of the artwork on this. They just look so different they do to the UK PAL releases. Here is another game that eluded me last year on my 20 and 2022 games collection list. Jurassic Park for the Master System, and unfortunately, spoiler alert, I have picked this game up, but that is coming up in a future live game hunting episode. But this store had some really good box retro bits, some of the cheaper bits, like games like F1 World Grand Prix. These Nintendo cardboard cases obviously just deteriorate over time, and even some of these low-level games are getting harder to find in good condition. I already have Mission Impossible in my collection, otherwise for 20 quid it's not a bad price, especially in pretty good condition. One of the main consoles I'm going to be focusing on collecting for this year is the Mega CD, and games markets like this are the places to find games for the Mega CD, as they are getting harder and harder to find. This game here was the game I was very close to pulling the trigger on. It is a big title. It is Castlevania on the Mega Drive. Unfortunately, this one was not complete. Otherwise, I would have picked this up. It was £125, but this is a game that's getting harder to get. And seriously, if this had been complete, I'd have picked it up in a heartbeat. Speaking of heavy hitters for the Mega Drive, check out this copy of Maximum Carnage. £250. I have never actually played this game, and at that price I don't know if I ever will, but let me know if you have played this game, if it is worth that hefty price tag. I'd like to think I have a pretty good knowledge of the PlayStation 1, but this is a game I've never seen before. Capcom Generations, and this had some really, really cool games in it. Like, I'm quite a fan of some of these compilation games. They're a good way to play lots of these old classic games. 4 discs, 13 Capcom games. Definitely be on the lookout for this one in the future. One thing that was a really nice surprise at this games market was the quality of the box retro stuff. So much of this stuff was in amazing condition. Like, look at this copy of Kickoff. I thought I had this in the collection. Sadly, I don't. I'm gutted now I didn't pick it up for £5. It's in amazing condition. And just everything seems to be in pretty good condition. Like, they had a really good selection of NES games, loads of Game Boy games. I was tempted to pick up this fan edition of Pokemon Moon, as it's the only one I'm missing from my fan editions for the 3DS. Going through some of these games, you have Mario Kart Advance, which is an absolute classic. This was a very tempting one, Pokemon Sapphire version. A really, really nice condition case. £120 a good price. I did pass though. I'm always on the lookout for good boxed N64 games. As I said 1,000 times, these are getting harder to find. Nothing really here that kind of took my fancy too much. I was quite interested in a couple of these games. Perfect Dark was in very nice condition, but I already have it. This is a game that keeps eluding me, The Legend of Zelda on the SNES. I'm finding it harder to find a decent copy of this. It seems to be going up in price. I really need to pull the trigger on that game very, very soon. This is kind of a catch-22 at these games markets. You could dig through kind of boxes like this for ages and find that hidden treasure, but we are on a finite time limit here. We have 4 hours at the games market. Yes, that sounds like a long time, but trust me, time goes very, very quickly here. You know I love strategy guides, and the majority of these are fairly cheap, but here are 2 heavy hitters. The Last of Us hardback edition, which I do not have in my collection, 40 quid. It was very, very tempting. And here is one I do have in my collection. I cannot believe how much this one has jumped up in price. Red Dead Redemption, £60 for a strategy guide. Trust me, folks, do not sleep on strategy guides. There are some gems out there. Talking of The Last of Us, these NECA Last of Us figures were absolutely beautiful. These were fairly expensive, but these figures are absolutely amazing and such a true likeness to the game. Now this was a really good deal, 10 Xbox 360 games for £5. Unfortunately, there was nothing I needed here for the collection, as I have nearly 500 Xbox 360 games already in my collection, but if you were starting to collect for the Xbox 360, this would be an amazing way to start a collection. 10 games for a £5, 50p each is an absolute bargain. This jacket was the absolute height of gamer fashion, but it did have a very high price tag, £200. But let me know in the comments down below. I'm not sure if this is a genuine Sega employee jacket, just due to this insert coin logo, but let me know in the comments down below. Going through the Mega Drive games, and here is a game I've kind of been tempted to pick up for a while, Street Racer. I really enjoyed this on the PS1. It'd be cool to go back and play this on the 16-bit Mega Drive. Sadly, I don't think this was complete. Otherwise, I'd have picked it up because, seriously, what Mega Drive games can you get for £7 in 2023? A pretty good deal, but I'm gutted it wasn't complete. As I said earlier in the video, I was on the lookout for Mega CD games, and this is a game I've been on the lookout for ages. Star Wars Rebel Assault on the Mega CD. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and I had to have this one. I think, for my money, it is one of the best cover arts of any Star Wars game. I think one of the best things about the games market is there's literally something for everyone here. So we have loads of Atari 7800 games here, complete in the box. Some of these I'd never seen before, like I'd never seen black and white Atari boxes. So let me know in the comments down below if you've ever seen these. I've only ever seen them in full colour. I've never seen them in black and white. Was tempted to pick up Ms. Pac-Man. It's such an iconic game. Sadly, these games were not £1, otherwise I'd have picked them up. This copy of Resident Evil 2 for the PC CD-ROM. It's just a game you just kind of forget was released on the PC, as well as this game here, this Final Fantasy double pack here. I did not realise this was released on the PC. It was quite expensive, otherwise I'd have probably picked them both up. I always seem to forget how many Simpsons games were actually released on like these SNES and NES consoles. There just seems to be tons, and this is one I do not see very often. Bart versus the World, like, it was in really nice condition, this one. I have heard pretty bad things about that game, so I didn't pick it up. I just always remember Bart versus the Space Mutants being a super hard game. And it's also odd how all of these Simpsons games were released on multiple consoles. Like, I never knew Krusty's Funhouse was also released on the Mega Drive. This one was in really nice condition. I have got a really nice box condition copy of this for the NES. There's some really nice box retro here. That was one of the standout things of the games convention for me. The amount of cardboard and box retro stuff that was in absolutely amazing condition. I was absolutely spoiled for choice. As you know, whenever I'm out game hunting, I'm always looking for the weird and the wonderful, and these items definitely meet both of those criteria. These are like rumble packs you wear like bulletproof armor, and they kind of rumble supposedly where you are shot on your body. These are just so retro looking, so incredible. I was very tempted, but did not want to carry them around the rest of the day. I think this is definitely one of my favourite Turtles games of all time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Battle Nexus. I'm trying to complete the trilogy of these games on the OG Xbox, but they're getting super expensive. Hopefully, with the popularity of the Cowabunga collection, we can get an HD remaster of these games. That would be an absolutely amazing box set. I said about Japanese N64 games earlier in the video, but it's very rare you see them boxed and complete like this. It's quite interesting to see the kind of slightly different covers, like Turok is fairly similar. The Mario Tennis one is incredible, the 1080 one is. I'm not actually sure what that Mario game was. I just love the artwork on these. I want to be able to play them, but the artwork is just absolutely breathtaking. And look at all that in PlayStation goodness. As a massive light gun fan, I was very tempted by this box and complete silent scope for the SNES, but things move so fast at the games market that somebody actually picked this up as I was filming this clip. But onwards and upwards, onto the next store and more Mega CD games. And these games were all really well priced. These were all like under a tenner. Sadly, I did have all of these in the collection already, except for Black Hole, which I think wasn't complete, which was a bit of a shame. But it's good to see a store with a decent supply of Mega CD. Hindsight can be a real pain. Looking back, I kind of wish I picked up these next 3 games. Road Avenger, complete for the Mega CD. Unfortunately, the case was cracked. And this is the thing, I'm getting very picky with my retro at a minute. I do wish I picked up the Amazing Spider-Man. Near mint for £40 is an absolutely amazing deal. I think this is one of my biggest regrets of the day, not picking up NBA Jam, box and complete on the Mega CD for £30. It is hard to decide what to pick up and what to leave behind when you're at the games market, and mistakes can be made. I think I definitely made a mistake here, but only thing you can do is kind of keep going, looking for games. Next store, and even more box Nintendo goodness. We've got Turok, Turok 2, some of the kind of lesser titles here, but these were all in really, really nice condition and really well priced. All of these kind of cardboard games, as I said, are just getting harder and harder to pick up. I was very tempted to pick up Primal Rage, and we've been talking about it all day, but I was on the lookout for the Mega Drive version, so hopefully I could find it here today. These two were absolutely amazing. Time Crisis 2 and Time Crisis 3, boxed complete with the guns, but these were super expensive. Like, I cannot believe how much more expensive these have got, but being a massive fan of light gun games, I was very, very tempted. As I've said many times in this video, it is very easy to get overwhelmed at these games markets. There's a lot going on. There was looking at a copy of Dr. Mario, which I already have in my collection. I was quite tempted to pick up this copy of California Games. It's one of my favourite games for the 8-bit kind of consoles. It was like, I don't think it was complete. I think it was just the cartridge and the box. It was in really nice condition. I think I wanted £8 or £10 for that, which is a pretty good deal. But it's just so much to look through. Like, kind of jumping from one thing to another, like this copy of Ninja Gaiden. There is just stuff everywhere. And the retro is absolutely stacked. Like, look, loads of games with the Mega Drive and the Master System, all like cheap. It's like, it's so hard to decide what to pick up when you're there. And the thing is, you might not get from this video is it's very loud, very hectic, it's very, very overwhelming. But all you have to do is just get stuck in and just keep going through things. So we have like a bargain bin of games, most likely kind of lower tier games, but a lot of these were still in really nice condition. These aren't really the games I'm probably looking for when I'm at the games market, just because they're kind of some of the lower end titles. The ones you're more likely to find in like your local game store or even at like Car Boots or CX. But it's just good to see there's a wide breadth and like range of prices and games available. As I said earlier, we were reminiscing on the car ride up here about how awesome Primal Rage was. I realised I had it on the SNES, but not on the Mega Drive. And the Mega Drive, in our opinion, was the best version. So I was definitely on the lookout. Found this copy. It was a pretty nice condition copy. I think it was £10. But again, unfortunately, when we opened it up, it was unfortunately not complete.
Disappointing. Sad.
Now, I'm a pretty big Dungeons & Dragons fan, but here is a D&D game I have never seen before on the Mega Drive. It was quite expensive, I think it was like £20 or £25, but let me know, is this a really good Dungeons & Dragons game? Is this one I'm missing for my collection? Now, this store was pretty cool. It had loads of brand new stock. These were all kind of games that maybe didn't do too well at the market. Let's say they're all like kind of brand new and sealed, or they just had multiple copies of the same game. But I think a lot of people always think that games market's going to be expensive. But here we have, I think these were resealed, but a PSP game I didn't have for £1. And at the end of the day, the PSP is an absolutely fantastic console. Army of Two is a fantastic game. Now to pick that up for £1 is kind of a no-brainer. Also, they had sealed PSP versions of FIFA 14, and this game Heathcliff the Fast and Furious that I've never seen before, again sealed. That one was £2. Down here they had more copies of Fallout 76 and you could shake a stick at, say what you will, but I still think if you get 3 or 4 friends together on this game, it is a good time, even though most of your time probably will be spent making ammunition. I didn't pick up a copy of that as I think I already have it, but it was cool to see cheap brand new games. As a massive PS1 collector and a massive fan of light gun games, this game was very tempting. Somebody had just not picked this up in front of me, £110 for Point Blank boxed with the G-Con. I was very tempted with this, as I have the box version of this with like Time Crisis and also with Time Crisis Project Time, but £110 is quite a high price tag. But let me know, what would you have done? This got me super excited when I saw this, a box complete version of Duke Nukem 64. Unfortunately, it was the American release. I've said it so many times in this video, but there was so much Nintendo cardboard goodness at this gaming market. It was just overwhelming how much there was. Like, look at this copy of Uni Rally, £25 in absolutely pristine condition. This is the kind of place to go if you want to build your boxed complete retro collection. Some of these games are quite expensive, but I have never been anywhere where I've seen this amount of nice conditioned, boxed, complete Nintendo cardboard. Some nice little bits here, some of the classic Mario games on the NES, some World of Wrestling, some Simpsons, just really nice conditioned stuff for the NES. I was actually surprised how much Game Boy stuff was on this stall as well. It's something I've never really gotten into collecting as much. I don't really know why, but I just don't really collect the boxed Game Boy stuff as much. There was some really nice SNES and SNES boxed consoles here, but the Game Boy stuff was in some pretty good prices, pretty good condition. Maybe something a little longer down the line, I might be tempted to start collecting. I think this store had some of the best conditioned games I saw the entire day. Like, look at this copy of Blazing Skies. That looks literally brand new. These games were a little bit more expensive, but I think you were paying for the fact that these were in amazing condition. I just love the kind of Konami art style of this period. This store had a lot of stuff earlier in the day, and it just shows the early bird got the worm. But look at some of these titles that are left behind already. They were expensive, but they were in absolutely amazing condition. One console which I personally have never owned is a Sega Game Gear. I remember playing one of these on a school trip back, like, I don't know, 30 years ago, and just remembering the fact it absolutely ate through batteries. 60 quid seems like a really good deal, but it seemed like when I turned this on, the screen was blank, and I know like these have a lot of faults, so I did decide to pass this up. I think if I got one, I'd have to have it recapped. Another stall, another Mega CD game, another copy of Road Avenger. This one was in really, really nice condition, was only £8. I was like, right, yep, I will definitely pick this up. That's a good price. It's in nice condition, but unfortunately, once again, it was not complete. I don't think I'll ever get bored of looking through these retro games that are boxed and complete. There was just so much exciting stuff. Just like the less stuff, like Turbo Racing, a great game for the NES, a nice easy one to pick up, £11. You can see there's 2 copies there. I think I already had that in the collection. This is a game I do already have in the collection, otherwise I'd have picked this up. 20 quid for a very good condition WCW vs NWO Revenge. Easily the best WCW game of all time. There's just so much good stuff these gaming markets. It's just the best place to build a collection. I've never seen such an amazing selection of games in one place. Just everywhere you went was more stuff. Like, look at all these boxed N64 games. Again, some of these are in really, really good condition. It's just, one thing I would say is it's hard to decide what to pick up. And it's like you find random stuff like this. I have no idea why there was a reprinted Conker's Bad Fur Day and a copy of Turok 3. That is an N64 game I do not see very often. Sadly, it was not in the best condition. I don't know what it is, but it's always going to be a very special place in my heart for these kind of later Atari consoles, such as the Atari Lynx. I think I just like to root for the underdog. Those consoles that didn't do very well. A box to complete Atari Lynx for 200 quid is a very good deal, and a loose Jaguar for 200 quid is a good deal. These are 2 consoles that are definitely on my want list. Rooting through all these games down here, and I'm actually amazed how many games that I forget were released for the Mega Drive. Like, I forgot there was a sequel to Populous, like Populous 2 Tribes. This game, Bloodshot, which I picked up recently, is kind of like an early Doom clone. There's just so much stuff at these games markets to look through. Like, it blows my mind how many games there can be in one place. It's absolutely overwhelming. Like I said it earlier, I think it's really weird how all of these early Simpsons games were released on multiple consoles. Like, I always played Bart Simpson vs Space Mutants on the Master System. I never really knew it was released on the Mega Drive. I presume it's probably a very similar game, or even the exact same game, just with some slightly better graphics. But it'd be interesting to compare the two. Now, here is a very niche product and kind of shows you how crazy some game collectors can be. Pokemon for the Nintendo 3DS. So these are just codes in boxes. These codes have probably ran out by now, but I will admit myself, I have 2 of those games which I picked up just for the boxes alone because they are absolutely beautiful. Going through some stuff here, some of this big box stuff. Didn't see that much Atari Amiga stuff here, really, in the grand scheme of things. I feel like my Mega Drive collection is getting pretty good now, about 50 or 60 games. I'm always finding games I want to add, like this X-Men game. I think this is kind of a side-scrolling arcade kind of beat 'em up like Streets of Rage, but let me know, I might be getting that game confused with something else. I just love looking through games markets because I just see games I've never seen before. It's just a good place to kind of expand your knowledge. I was very, very tempted by this boxed and complete Mega CD. I think it was about £220, but it was very, very tempting. Heading on to the next store, they had some of my favourite game art of all time, Super Soccer on the SNES. I think the goalkeeper definitely has a likeness to a certain former president. As I said, there was everything at this gaming market. Here we have just a Virtual Boy complete in the box, just chilling out right at the back. I'm sure if you wanted to look at that, you'd probably have to put gloves on. It's such a thing of beauty. Going back to some of the lesser game titles, a SNES game I'm really looking for at the minute is Starwing. Like, I love Star Fox so much. That one was not complete, unfortunately. But yeah, it was getting later in the day. I was getting more tired, but trust me, we had 4 hours here and I was not going to waste a single minute. It's always when you think you've seen everything, you find something new. Here we have Super Mario Bros. On the Genesis. Obviously, this is kind of a ROM hack, but it's just amazing they've done the full artwork for this. I love it. I think this is one of my favourite, strangest, most obscure finds of the entire day at this gaming market. Now, I said earlier, I'm not the biggest collector of boxed Game Boy games, but this one was very tempting. WWF Superstars for the original Game Boy. But let me know down in the comments. Yes, that artwork is absolutely incredible. Yes, I'm going for a complete WWF collection, but is this game any good? On a Game Boy, I can't imagine it being groundbreaking. This is a game I've been after for the OG Xbox for a long while, but it was sealed, which sadly for me is a bit of a no sale, because at the end of the day, I'd rather this go to somebody who collects seals games, as I want to play my games, and as soon as I open this one up, it would drop in value quite dramatically. There really was not very much of kind of current or last gen stuff at the gaming market. This was some of the only Xbox One and PlayStation 4 stuff I did see. I didn't pick any of it up. I was quite tempted to pick up the BioShock collection for just a $5, but I think if I was going to pick this up, I want to get the one that's in a slipcase. I'm a little bit of a completionist when it comes to games, and if I'm getting something, I want it to be like full, have all its slips, its add-ons, everything. We were coming to the end of the day, and this was where the kind of tiredness and fatigue was kicking in. I was just picking games up, putting them down. I think by this point I was so overwhelmed. I don't really know what I was doing, but it had been an amazing day. Sure, I had some regrets. I think I missed some purchases, some things I should have picked up, but trust me, if you've ever been on the fence about going to a games market, do it, but prepare yourself. Just wow, that was an absolutely amazing day, and it is so easy to overspend in situations like this, but I think I've picked up some absolute gems for the collection. Before we head back to the games room to see those pickups, I want to introduce you to a long-time friend and a first-time YouTuber, PS2 Many Games. So let's go through what you picked up then.
Yeah, we'll go for your bag, Scott. Right. What was it? Dead Egg. Let's put the hacks together.
Yeah, how much were the hacks all together then?
Part 1, part 3 was 75, part 4 was 70, part 3 is pretty much, it was a slight rip-off, but I don't mind. Part 1 was 22 and part 2 was 28, so that's probably cheaper than it should be. That's probably a little more expensive, that's a little more expensive, that's a little cheaper, so it actually works out kind of evenly.
So how much were those 4 games together?
God, mathematics, 168, 190 quid. It's
the face of a man who has spent £190 on 4 PlayStation games.
This is what happens when you get a hobby.
Don't do it, kids. Don't collect video games.
Don't collect video games.
Wow, just wow. That was absolutely incredible. It blew me away. I knew it was going to be the UK's biggest gaming market, but I just didn't realise it was going to be so overwhelming, I think is the best word. The sights, the sounds, just the atmosphere. It was absolutely incredible. I would do it again tomorrow. It was such a long day. 3 hours there and 3 hours back, but it was absolutely 100% worth the effort. One of the coolest things about the games market was all the people who came up to me and said hello. It is such a good community in the UK. It was so awesome to have people who've been watching the channel come up to me and say how much they enjoy the videos. It just keeps me going, as well as meeting some of my fellow YouTubers in the real world, such as Retro Ghetto and Marathon Gaming. For the latter, we were on the swap shop with the Retro Chef a couple of weeks ago. We actually arranged to do a swap in the real world, and I picked up this copy of Super Spike V-Ball for the NES. I feel we all know these NES games are getting harder and harder to pick up, and Marathon Gaming did me a super sweet deal on this one, and I'm really glad to add another CIB NES game into the collection. Only I could go to a games market and pick up games from a fellow YouTuber rather than the market itself. A lot of people think that gaming markets are always expensive, but this isn't necessarily true. There's always bargains to be had, such as this sealed copy of FIFA 13 for the PlayStation Vita I picked up for just £1. Yes, it might not be the most exciting Vita title of all time, but these Vita games are only to go up in value, and having this one sealed is a steal. From the same stall, I also picked up this copy of Army of Two: The 40th Day for the PSP. This might be a PSP Essentials cover, but for £1 for a game I don't have in my PSP collection, I'm going to pick it up. I'm pretty sure this one is a reseal, but regardless, I'll be opening this one up and playing this game. Finally, from the same stall, I picked up this copy of Heathcliff, The Fast and the Furious for the Nintendo Wii. This is brand new and sealed, and will probably stay brand new and sealed. Sealed Wii games are definitely get harder to find in the coming years, and this is just a title I've never ever seen before. So let me know, should I open this one up? Am I missing out on Heathcliff, The Fast and the Furious? Sometimes I just think I'm a glutton for punishment as I try and collect for some of the more obscure systems, such as the Mega CD. I went through so many games today, and I'm getting a little bit picky with the Mega CD games I pick up. That is because the CD cases are pretty hard to replace, and just finding these games is getting harder these days. So I'm looking for boxed, good condition games that are complete, and this is one that I needed for my Mega CD collection. Star Wars Rebel Assault for the Mega CD. This is in very nice condition. It was from LL Cool Games, which is an absolutely amazing name for a games company. I bought this one in cash, and I managed to haggle them down from 27 to 25. I know it's not the biggest jump ever, but trust me, here is a top tip. If you go to a games convention, they are more likely to do you a deal if you deal in cold, hard cash. I am super excited to play this game as I never had a Mega CD, and neither did any of my friends growing up, and these games markets are the best place to find Mega CD games as they are getting harder and harder to find. Yes, these games are on sale in CX, but it is very, very rare they actually come in stock, and the thing is, I know this one is in good condition and fully complete. At the end of the day, I'm a massive Star Wars fan and I needed this game for my Mega CD collection. If you've been watching recently, you'll know I've been on a massive SNES collecting kick. There were so many SNES boxed games at the gaming market, but I am getting picky. The thing is, I'm looking for specific games for my collection. I want them boxed and complete, and this is one I had to have for the collection. Pilotwings. This is an absolutely fantastic condition. This was priced at $24.99. and I managed to haggle them down once again using cash to £20. These are the kind of games that I want to have in my collection, the absolutely iconic SNES games. I just love like the SNES branding around here, I love the artwork, and I just love having this complete in the box. Just being able to open it up, read the instructions as the game loads, these are just the things you just have to have that CIB experience for. And I'm really aiming for these kind of iconic SNES titles, the must-have titles. Games just like Pilotwings. I really cannot put into words how amazing Doncaster Gaming Market was. If you've ever had any doubts about going, do it. For me and a few of my friends, it was a 12-hour day. 3 hours there, 3 hours back, and the whole day game hunting, but I wouldn't change it for the world. It was an absolutely amazing day. It was fantastic to meet some viewers of the channel, some fellow YouTubers, and just the people selling there. Just to be like surrounded by the retro gaming community was absolutely amazing. And I just want to do more of it this year. At these conventions, you could easily spend your life savings. It is about picking the items you really, really need for the collection, the stuff you don't see anywhere else. That is the best thing about these gaming markets. But please let me know down in the comments below, what are the best gaming markets around the UK? As I've said many times recently, I want to get around the UK a lot more this year, so please let me know where I should head to in the comments down below. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, keep playing the game. See you all soon.